Welcome to the Elevated Trader Podcast. I am Dr. Kristen Kidgel.
And I am Tracy Ball. Join us every week as we journey into becoming better traders.
We believe becoming better traders involves elevating our skill, mindset, and our health. In each episode, we will discuss the current book we are exploring, and we invite you to join us on this journey.
Are you ready to elevate your trading, mindset, and health to the next level? Let's do this.
Welcome back to the Elevated Trader Podcast. We are on episode 2 of the book, Fit for Life by Harvey and Marilyn Diamond. What's up, Tracy Ball?
What's up, Kristen? Such a good book, but I want to circle back. You want to circle back. We want to talk a little bit more about why this is important.
There's a lot of whys. The first why is just a reminder that, we're purposely reading these books, but why did we decide to include the consumption of health-related books in the Elevated Trader Podcast, mission statement, so to speak?
Yeah, so I meant to kind of touch on this last episode, and I think I got distracted a little bit, but when your health is good, that is when you're going to be the most efficient. That is when you're going to have the most energy. That is when you're going to have the most clarity in your mind. It's all tied together. You know that. I know that. I felt it. And I did describe that in the last episode of how during the best shape of my life, I felt like I had the most clarity and what have you. So when it comes down to trading, let's use a car as an example, because I like the analogy that they used in the book about a car. And if you don't take care of your car, if you don't give it oil changes and maintenance and you don't put gas in it, it doesn't run very well. And the longer you go, it starts to run even more inefficient. And that can then lead to you either being late or spending more money on fuel or leading to more maintenance breakdowns, whatever it might be. But it ends up causing problems that roll downhill that aren't necessarily related even to the car anymore. It's affecting other areas of your life because you depend on that car for certain things. And your body is no different. So when you don't consider health, then that can lead to other areas of your life, like your job, your career, your ability to make money, like your relationships, like your mindset, all of that, your opinion of yourself, all of those things, and even your ability to combat illness, combat depression, combat all of the different crises and stresses that are in life can be affected in a very negative way as much as they can be affected in a very positive way. So how about you? What are your thoughts about the why of why?
I have so many thoughts right now. So this is a day in, day out, week in, week out conversation I have with mentoring and coaching clients and patients. It just is what it is. I'm going to throw some things out there that I know are going to hit home with a lot of people, and they probably just need to hear it again. It probably isn't going to be the first time they've heard it. Number one, you need to be your own doctor. You really, really do. You need to take your health into your own hands and not hand it off to somebody else. That drives me batty when people are just shake their head at everything they're told what to do instead of taking their ownership of their own health. Next thing is the definition of a health coach is, or just the definition of a coach in general, and put whatever word you want to put in front of it, is make you do things you don't want to do to become the person you want to become. So whatever coaching you need, which could be a little bit of mentoring, which could be a little bit of hand-holding, maybe coach is the wrong word that you need, but think about that just a little bit, digest that a little bit. So, I get hired to help people. The car analogy, I use this analogy a lot because I'll just look at them at some point in the conversation and just say, what year was this body born? So I relate the year to one of the cars that I can relate to that I adore. By the way, we are better than a Tesla. We are better than a Jaguar. We are better than any car you can think is the echelon of cars. This body that we have is better than those, which is important for us to understand how we're treating it and what we're putting inside of it. The last thing I want to finish with, because now I'm on my soapbox, and you gave me this chance to step up onto it. I was already on it. I was like twiddling my fingers waiting for this moment. is something that you and I really, really love, and we have said it before in other podcasts, is pick your hard. It is hard to eat good. It is hard to go to restaurants and figure out what the heck you're going to eat when everybody else at the table, which by the way I've been doing for over 20 years, eating a way that I eat, which is similar to this, but I am going to install more of these philosophies. I don't even want to call them philosophies because they're backed by science. So whatever that is. It is hard to get up earlier to go to the gym or go outside when it's 98 degrees to get your 20-minute walk in. You know, listen, being healthy is hard. Those are choices. But what else is hard is not being able to go out to do these things, not being able to enjoy time with your family, not being able to go on the vacations, not feeling good, having headaches, having GI issues, taking medicines, buying medicine. You know, there are lots of hards and difficult things that come into your life when you are unhealthy. So
being tired all the time.
What's the saying? Yeah, pick your hard.
Exactly.
How in the world do I run well off 6 hours of sleep? People are like, oh, you need 6 to 8. Well, I'm thinking the people that need 8 have health issues. I've literally just started thinking that. And matter of fact, I was listening to a podcast the other day that is saying that one of the easiest ways to see somebody's overall general health is to have them do one of those grip strength tests. And so I went on Amazon. I stopped the podcast. I went on Amazon. I ordered one, had it delivered to the house. To the office. So it comes with what your age group and where you should fall into. Normal, healthy, unhealthy, whatever, for your age and gender. And so with the chart, the whole 9 yards, and it's all digital and everything. And so of course, I rip it open and I play with it. I'm like, where am I? Urgh! You're supposed to hold it for 5 seconds and it takes the highest milligram of pressure you've applied. So that's pretty fun, but that's really interesting that just that alone, your strength test alone tells you where your health is. So I've changed my whole parameter. You've been watching me. Most people listening to this do not know that I did my own 45-day challenge that Sochi Rodriguez and I got together, and we created a Real Change, Real Women 45-day challenge. And then I got off the 45-day challenge and I'm like, no, I'm still challenging myself. I'm like, this is kind of cool. What's my why? And all of these things I just said to you are really my why. Like, I teach this, I explain it, I'm going to live it. And now that I'm 50, I really want to prove to myself, and to others, 50s can be awesome. But you are where you are today from the choices you made years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The question now is, what do you need to do today, tomorrow, next year, whatever, for the next 5-10 years? Because when I'm 60, what do I want my life to be like? What do I want my health to be like? What do I want to be able to do with my kids or my grandkids? Do I still want to be able to snow ski in the winters? Big picture. I'll step down off my soapbox now. Thank you very much.
I think that what you just said there, which was, the choices and the decisions that you made 20 years ago have led you to where you are now. And the point that I really want to emphasize right there is that you're still faced with choices every single day right now. So yes, those choices were what you made 20 years ago. They don't have to continue to define your future. You can make those changes right now. It's not too late. And if you don't make those changes, it's because you're struggling with limiting beliefs. There's some kind of limiting belief, whether it be you're too old, you're too out of shape, you're too whatever, you just can't do it, your age is limiting. These are all limiting beliefs that are going to keep you from getting to where you want to go. And it's imperative. Now, I want to say something because I think this is really cool. It's a little bit off topic, but kind of related. And I remember I was with some people visiting some friends at a care facility, and I had heard a story because they had an individual there that had Alzheimer's, and I got to know what his story was, and some of the things that he had done was showing that he had kind of strength that was unusual for his age group. And so that got us into another discussion with another doctor, a friend of mine, that we were talking about some other stories and examples of individuals that had Alzheimer's that were caught doing things that were just not typical of their age. And the question that I am posed with right now and that I'm thinking about is, were they able to do some of those things because they forgot about their age, they forgot who they were, and therefore those limiting beliefs didn't prevent them from being able to do that? And I don't know what the science is behind this or whether it's not, but it's just one of those things that I'm thinking about. Or even, you've heard of mothers that when their children are threatened, they've gone and done things that were extraordinary to save their child. And you have to wonder if whatever stress it was that was there in their life helped them overcome whatever limiting beliefs they had prior to that event, just to get through to the other side, to do whatever they needed to do because they were willing to do it at all costs. And that's just my little soapbox rant, because I think limiting beliefs are definitely, you can get past them. So yeah,
our potential is so great on so many levels, and people just think like a typical, we see people recover from crazy diagnoses, I don't know, illnesses, often. And, it's, I hate saying mind over matter sometimes. I mean, granted, we're all going to go when we're supposed to go, right? This is a conversation my brother kind of came at me once back when he used to make fun of the way I eat and the supplements that I took and all that stuff. And little brother, if you're listening, I happen to know how you're eating and what supplements you're taking these days. But I remember, because he's my brother, and people, when our siblings talk to us differently than maybe a friend or a stranger. And he's just like, why even bother? We're all going to die someday. Why even bother? And I'm like, it's about, if you get to live long, if I get to live into my 60s, I want quality of life. And my job has absolutely 100% been a part of my decision making, because I started seeing patients. Before 27, you have to see a ton of patients, over 300, 400 visits before you can graduate. So even at 27, graduating and seeing all kinds of age groups and hearing their stories and getting to know them and knowing their lifestyles and all those things, you just get to know people. And so I want to be having a quality of life as I age, because the people that don't have a quality of life as they age, it could be injury, yes, it could be a loss of limb, yes, but we still even know soldiers that lose limbs and live amazing lives.
Yep.
So I agree with you that it is a limiting belief, and then the discipline, and then a lack of knowing, know better, do better. So after these episodes of this book, you guys are going to know more.
You should know more. Now, let's go back to the car analogy for a second, because, let me ask you what's more frustrating. Driving to and from work consistently with a reliable vehicle, and you don't need to worry about whether it's going to break down. You know that it's efficient. It's old reliable, right? Or do you stress every single time you get out, start the car? It's like, oh man, it's not starting again. Get out of your vehicle, open the hood, try and give it a few kicks, do whatever you do to get it going. And then you drive down the block, you got to stop again. It stalls out on you. You got to do the whole thing again. Then you're stuck in the middle of the road. You get somebody to come over to help start your car, and you just keep going. And then you get to work and you tell your boss, sorry, I'm late. Car broke down. Yeah, that happened. Like, this is the 6th time this week there, Joe. What are you going to do to change this? Oh, it's it'll be fine. And I'm going to look at whatever. And you just continue to live your life with this process. Is that much more enjoyable versus having that reliable vehicle and what have you? And I think that, we look at momentary little things in our lives, like, should I have that ice cream? Should I have this bag of chips? Should I have this or should I have that, for immediate, instant gratification without any consequences at all, without any thought of the consequences down the road? And I would rather be that reliable vehicle going into my 90s. And it doesn't mean that reliable vehicles don't get into accidents. It doesn't mean that your car doesn't get stolen. It doesn't mean that, different things, but at least I can take care of it well enough that it's reliable and it's not my doing. It's
Yeah, you have a choice in
exactly,
this lifetime.
right? And I don't need to make my life any harder. If other people step in front of me and make my life a little bit harder, okay, you know what? I have to react to that. I have to be able to overcome that. I have to move forward and figure something out. But I'm not the one stepping my own way, right?
And a lot of diseases are reversible with nutrition.
Exactly.
Like,
that's the point, right?
a lot of diseases are caused because of lack of proper nutrition. A lot of diseases are reversible with proper nutrition. I mean, of course, genetically, but again, here's a couple things, right? Genetically, I'm predisposed for diabetes, but I know what causes diabetes. So I can alter how I live my life nutritionally to thwart
Knowledge is
that.
power.
You know, I happen to know that the other side of my family genetically is predisposed for thyroid issues. Well, I know what causes thyroid issues. It's that data is out there, you guys, and that's not in this book, by the way. But I said, okay, well, what can I do to thwart that problem? So right now, you know, am I breaking the cycle? I don't know. Do I teach my children this stuff? Yeah. Did they do it after they became 16, 17, 18, had a car, and now they're doing everything, whatever they want? Yeah, but you know what? The interesting thing is they were raised a certain way, they were fed a certain way, and then when they got to that point where I had to loosen the reins, so to speak, which is what we should all do, is where they're eating like 7-Eleven food, or by the way, it's a major chain of a convenience store around here, but going to convenience stores or just buying junk food or hitting fast food places, which I did in high school too. I've eaten at a Burger King and a Taco Bell and all those things. But when you know better, you do better. So I hope people, so let me go back. So my kids, when they were eating with their friends and fitting in and just going, oh, I didn't get to really have this as a kid, and then they have it, they did not feel good. They did not feel good. And both my children are now 18 and 24, like foodies. And literally my son said the other day, he's like, Mom, why would I go out and buy this, that, and this, that, when I know at home I can make it better and cheaper? And I was like, there you go. And he's an amazing cook. Oh my God, he blew my mind recently how good my kids can cook sometimes.
It's good role modeling.
So let me say this, because this is the beginning of my book, and everybody just remember, I'm reading part 2. She's reading part 1. I've already read part 1. I've also listened to part 1. So I've been through part 1 twice, but part 2 is thick, and it is an adjunct and added more material expanding on part 1 for sure, no doubt. It just says the main premise is that living healthfully is not an art that we must learn. It is an instinctive way of life to which we must return. So that was really not mind-blowing to me. I think it just really caught my attention, because that's right. Like a lot of the junk food that we eat and food that our bodies don't really agree with, that we are common food products, are not healthy for us, but they're more convenient. You know, a lot of the stuff from the war and you know, making our bread bleached white, you know, that those things taking the nutrients out were out of necessity during the war, but it's not helping us now. So it's very interesting to see how things are kind of like coming all the way back around again.
I want to dive right into like the topics of what we're doing, because
okay.
I mean, this book really, if you haven't read it, you need to go out and get it. We said that already in the episode.
Part 1,
we said it.
For sure.
So
or
you need to do that. And you know, this thing breaks it down. I'm going to say this. I had this conversation with my son today about what I'm reading in the book and all of the information. I broke it down really simplistically for him. And I was so proud of him, because his response to me was, you know, because I said to him, I said, you may not feel the consequences of what you're eating right now because your body is still very young and very efficient. It's burning very efficient. And just like when we have a new car, we can treat it like garbage. It takes a while before it starts to really affect it. And I was so proud of him, because his response was, yeah, but it's easier for me to start now than it will be to start later. And I'm so proud of him for that. And I guess that I just want to encourage you all to, you know, even if your kids don't necessarily listen to you right now, they're going to hear what you're saying, and it's going to be that voice in the back of their head that's going to help in their decision making down the road, especially once their frontal cortex is fully developed and they're able to do rational thinking and all that kind of stuff. That's going to sit with them. It's going to be a seed that's planted. So we have, we're in a country, COVID, do you think that was a pandemic? Like seriously, obesity, diabetes, health related issues, heart disease, all of these things that are in our life, we're dealing with a pandemic, and it's all food related. That's my opinion. So,
well, we need to be in complete control of our health.
Yep.
You got to take ownership, and you cannot force feed this on other people. It's really difficult to make a huge change like this and be in a house where nobody else
lead
wants
by
to
example. That's the only thing you can do.
It gets easier when you feel better.
Exactly. When people see what you're doing and how you're living, they will follow because they're going to want what you have. And that is natural. So lead by example and make baby steps and be gentle with yourself as well. It doesn't happen overnight. It took you how long to get to where you are? Now start making those little changes that are going to help you head in the right direction, right? It doesn't need to be overnight. So
for sure,
be gentle with yourself.
No. And these books talk about that and all those little things. Matter of fact, I got a little scared, by the way, when I picked up my book and it came in the mail. I'm like, oh, this book's huge. Not only is the typesetting tiny, but the last quarter of the book is our recipes. So I'm super stoked about that, by the way. So yeah, this book.
Well, and I'm reading the Kindle version and I'm just flying through it. Like it's just going fast. So it's an easy read. Okay. Anyway, I can't say enough good things. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us today. For more information about the show, as well as our list of current reads, check us out at www.theelevatedtrader.com.
Remember to subscribe and share if you found value in today's episode. See you next week.